Are you sitting on a small fortune without even realizing it? If you've ever come across an old Jefferson nickel in your pocket change or coin collection, particularly one from 1964 with no mint mark, you might want to pause and take a closer look. What if I told you that some of these ordinary-looking nickels, worth just 5 cents on face value, have sold for thousands, and in rare cases, could be worth up to $1 million to the right buyer? In this video, we're diving deep into the world of the 1964 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark. We'll cover what makes this coin so fascinating to collectors, how to identify rare variations, what to look for under the microscope, and what kind of current market value these coins are fetching today. Let's get started. First, let's understand the basics. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. The obverse features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, designed by Felix Schlag, while the reverse showcases Monticello, Jefferson's home in Virginia. These coins have remained in production for decades, but certain years stand out among collectors, and 1964 is one of them. Now here's the key detail. In 1964, over 1.7 billion Jefferson nickels were struck between the Philadelphia and Denver mints. That's right, billion with a B. The Philadelphia mint coins did not have a mint mark, so when you see a 1964 nickel with no mint mark, it came from Philly. On the surface, that sounds incredibly common. So why all the hype? Here's where things get interesting. Although most 1964 no mint mark Jefferson nickels are extremely common and worth only face value, a few very specific examples are highly sought after due to certain rare characteristics. These include full steps on Monticello, doubled dies, planchet errors, and coins in perfect uncirculated condition with extremely high grades from coin grading companies like PCGS and NGC. Let's talk about full steps. This refers to the steps at the base of Monticello on the reverse of the coin. Most nickels from that year show weak or incomplete steps due to worn dies or poor strikes. But if your coin shows a sharp, full set of steps, especially with 6 clearly defined lines, it becomes much more valuable. Collectors call this FS, or full steps designation. Now imagine this. A 1964 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark, in near perfect condition, showing full steps, and graded MS 66 or higher by PCGS or NGC? That coin could easily be worth several $1,000s. And there have been auction sales in the tens of thousands, especially for those with rare die varieties or unique errors. Let's go even deeper. One specific variety you need to look for is the doubled die reverse, where the Monticello design appears doubled, especially noticeable in the inscriptions such as E pluribus unum or Monticello. These are extremely rare and highly prized among error coin collectors. A dramatic doubled die with full steps in high grade is nearly impossible to find, and that's why such a coin, in the right condition and the right auction, could reach 6 or even 7 figures. You heard that right. $1 million nickel is not just a myth. While it's incredibly rare, and realistically, most 1964 no mint mark nickels will never be worth that much, there are always collectors out there looking for the absolute best. Combine rarity, condition, and the right timing, and you've got the formula for $1 million coin. So how do you know if you've got one? First, check the date. Make sure it's 1964 with no mint mark. Then look at the reverse side. Do you see clearly defined steps on Monticello? You may need a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to be sure. Examine the coin carefully for doubling, die cracks, or unusual features. Finally, check the overall condition. Does it look uncirculated? No scratches or wear? If it seems like a pristine example, your next step is to have it professionally graded. Professional grading from services like PCGS or NGC can make or break your coin's value. A coin that looks perfect to you might only grade MS 62, while another might come back MS 66 or MS 67, adding hundreds or thousands of dollars in value. Full steps designations and documented die varieties will also increase your coin's marketability. So what's the current market value of the 1964 no mint mark Jefferson nickel in 2025? For average circulated examples, the value remains at face value, 5 cents. In uncirculated condition, Without full steps, they might fetch $1 or $2. With full steps, values rise steeply. MS-64 full steps can bring in around $20 to $50, MS-65 around $100 to $300, MS-66 full steps have sold for over $1,000, and MS-67 full steps are extremely rare and can command thousands. Rare error coins, such as dramatic double dies, off-center strikes, or coins struck on the wrong planchet, can be worth hundreds or even thousands more, depending on the rarity and demand. And if you ever come across a coin with both full steps and a dramatic error in high grade, you might be looking at 5-figure or 6-figure territory. In the world of coin collecting, provenance, condition, and uniqueness are everything. That's why it pays to take a second look at every coin in your collection, or even in your pocket change. The 1964 no-mint mark Jefferson nickel might not look special at first glance, but under the right circumstances, it could be the sleeper treasure of your lifetime. So check your coins, do your research, and if you think you've found something rare, get it authenticated. You never know, your old nickel could be worth $1 million. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more coin collecting tips and stories. Let us know in the comments if you found a rare 1964 nickel or if you have questions about what to look for next. 1973 Monticello Jefferson nickel might just be the millionaire's coin sitting unnoticed in your collection. If you have nickels from the early 70s, especially 1973 with a D mint mark, you'll want to stick around because this could be the most valuable 5 cents you've ever seen. Imagine finding a coin in your change jar. Just a nickel. You flip it over and notice something odd. Maybe the Monticello building looks off. Maybe the mint mark placement is strange. Maybe it's a bit too shiny. Before you toss it back into circulation, what if I told you that exact coin has sold for thousands, even over $1 million in rare cases? Sounds unbelievable? Let's talk about why. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple in American coinage since 1938. In 1973, the Denver Mint struck millions of these coins. Over 300 million, to be exact. So why is this year and mint mark suddenly on the radar of collectors everywhere? The answer lies in rarity within abundance. You see, not all 1973 D nickels are created equal. Some of them contain striking errors. Others were minted using exceptional planchets. And a select few have qualities so rare that collectors and investors are paying top dollar to add them to their portfolios. So what exactly should you be looking for? First, the mint mark. A clear D right next to Monticello means it came from the Denver Mint. But don't stop there. Inspect the coin closely. Is there a doubling of letters or numbers? That could be a double die error. These are rare and can skyrocket the value of your coin. Second, check for full steps on the Monticello building. A coin that shows every step at the bottom of the Monticello is highly prized. These are known as full steps nickels and they often fetch thousands of dollars, especially in mint state condition. Third, look for off-center strikes or clipped planchets. These are mint errors and they are highly collectible. Even a small off-center strike can push a nickel's value into the hundreds. A major error can easily multiply that number. And finally, the surface. Some 1973 D nickels were accidentally struck on proof-like or polished planchets. If your coin looks unusually shiny or has mirror-like surfaces, you could be holding a rare variation meant for collectors, not circulation. Let's talk numbers. A 1973 D Jefferson nickel graded MS-67 with full steps recently sold for over $5,000. That's one coin. One nickel. In top condition. In the world of numismatics, rarity, condition, and demand create the perfect storm. If a coin is discovered with a unique error or an unknown variety, collectors and auction houses go wild. There are ongoing rumors and private transactions suggesting that certain error coins from this year have exchanged hands for 6 or even 7 figures. Think about it. $1 million nickel. It's not a myth. It's the result of rarity and a market that never sleeps. The coin market is booming. Collectors are paying more than ever for US coins with history, errors, and pristine conditions. If you've been holding on to old change or inherited a jar of coins from a relative, now is the time to sort through them. Get a magnifying glass. Check your 1973 nickels. Look for that D mint mark. Examine the Monticello steps. Look for errors, shine, and quality. And if you think you've got something rare, do not spend it. Instead, get it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. That small step could turn 5 cents into a life-changing fortune. We live in a time where the ordinary can turn out to be extraordinary. One small coin could hold the key to a huge payday. The 1973 D. Jefferson nickel is a reminder that value isn't always obvious. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight. So before you dismiss that old nickel in your drawer, remember this video. You might just be holding $1 million treasure. If you found this helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more coin secrets and hidden treasures. Leave a comment if you've ever found a rare coin or have questions about what to look for next. This is the place where knowledge meets value. 1974 No Mint Mark Monticello Jefferson nickel. A regular looking coin that's causing a stir in the market. Why? Because certain examples are selling for thousands and rumors are flying that some could be worth over $1 million. Sounds unbelievable? Let's break it all down. First, let's get some background. The Jefferson nickel has been around since 1938. It features Thomas Jefferson on the front and Monticello, his Virginia home, on the back. It replaced the Buffalo nickel and has become one of the most collected coins in the United States. The 1974 version of the Jefferson nickel was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Now here's the key detail. Coins from Philadelphia in that year carry no mint mark. So when we say, no mint mark, we're not talking about an error. This was completely normal for Philly minted nickels in 1974. So what's the big deal? While the 1974 no mint mark nickel is common in circulation, what makes some of them valuable is their condition, strike, and a few possible minting errors. Collectors are always on the lookout for nickels with full steps on Monticello. That means all 5 or 6 steps on the back of the coin are clearly visible and sharply struck. These are incredibly hard to find, especially in uncirculated condition. A 1974 no mint mark nickel with full steps and a high grade can be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. In fact, a few examples graded MS-67 with full steps have sold at auction for over $4,000. Now here's where things get interesting. Recently, there have been wild claims online suggesting that some 1974 no mint mark Jefferson nickels are worth over $1 million. Is that true? Let's clear the air. At the time of this recording, number 1974 no mint mark nickel has sold for $1 million at a reputable auction. However, certain extremely rare varieties, like an off-metal strike, double die error, or experimental planchet, could command incredibly high prices if one were discovered and authenticated. But that hasn't happened yet, not officially. That said, just because a coin hasn't sold for $1 million yet doesn't mean it's not valuable. The coin market is always changing. Condition, rarity, and demand all play a role. If a new variety is discovered, or if an old hoard of pristine nickels is released, prices could spike dramatically. So if you have a 1974 no mint mark nickel, here's what you should do. First, check the steps on Monticello. Use a magnifying glass and look closely. If you see full steps, you may have something valuable. Next, check the condition. Coins with little to no wear, no scratches, and strong luster are always more desirable. Finally, consider getting it graded. If you truly believe your coin is a rare example, send it to a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade could mean the difference between a few bucks and a few thousand. So, is your 1974 no mint mark Monticello Jefferson nickel worth $1 million? Probably not. But could it be worth hundreds or thousands? Absolutely, especially if it's in top condition with full steps or a rare error. And who knows? Maybe one day a true one-of-a-kind variety will show up, and it will break all records. That's what makes coin collecting so exciting. It's not just about history. It's about the thrill of the hunt. So the next time you get change back at the store, take a second look at those nickels. You might just be holding on to a small fortune without even knowing it. 1978 without a mint mark could be worth thousands, even millions of dollars today. We're diving into one of the most surprising and mysterious coins in American numismatic history, the 1978 no mint mark Jefferson nickel. Stay with us because by the end of this video you'll know exactly what to look for and why one simple coin could change your life. Let's start with a bit of history. The Jefferson nickel has been in circulation since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel designed by Felix Schlaget. Features Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his home Monticello on the reverse. For decades these nickels were struck at three mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Now here's where it gets interesting. In 1978, nickels minted in Philadelphia didn't have a mint mark. That wasn't unusual at the time. What makes the 1978 no mint mark Jefferson nickel fascinating is not the absence of the mint mark itself, but the rare and specific versions of this coin that have surfaced over the years. There have been reports of high-quality, near-flawless 1978 no mint mark Jefferson nickels found in circulation, coins so pristine and so rare that collectors have paid astonishing amounts for them. We're not talking $5 or $10. Some of these nickels have sold for thousands, and rumors persist of private sales reaching into 6 and even 7 figures wide because coin collectors value rarity, but they prize perfection even more. A coin that's over 40 years old in mint state, or better, is extremely rare, especially if it has full steps on Monticello. Those full steps indicate a strong strike with no wear, meaning the coin was perfectly made and preserved. Here's what you need to look for if you find a 1978 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark. Flip it over and look closely at Monticello. Do the steps at the base appear sharp and complete? If you can count all 5 or 6 steps clearly without blurring or wear, then you might be looking at a full steps Jefferson nickel. Collectors call this FS, and they pay a premium for it even in lower grades like MS64 or MS65. A full steps example can bring in hundreds of dollars, but when you get into grades like MS67 or higher, the value skyrockets. In fact, one full steps 1978 Jefferson nickel in MS67 condition sold for over $10,000 at auction, and that's just one public sale. There are whispers in the coin collecting community about ultra-rare versions fetching hundreds of thousands or more in private collections. Some experts speculate that there may be a few perfect coins graded MS68 or even MS69 still undiscovered. If one of those surfaces, it could easily command $1 million price tag, especially if it's a unique population coin. So how can you find out if your nickel is special? Start by checking your loose change or old coin jars. Look for 1978 Jefferson nickels with no mint mark, then examine the coin under good lighting using a magnifying glass. Look for those crisp steps on Monticello and examine the coin for scratches, nicks, or where. If you think you have something rare, your next step is to get the coin graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate the coin, grade it, and seal it in a tamper-proof holder. That grading is what gives the coin its real market value. Let's talk numbers. An average 1978 no mint mark Jefferson nickel in circulated condition is only worth face value, but a high-grade mint state version could be worth $50 to $100. A full steps version in MS66 or higher can bring in $500 to $2,000 or more, and if you're lucky enough to have one of the top population coins, that's when things get serious. We're talking values well into the 5 or 6 figure range. Some collectors believe that a truly flawless MS68 full steps coin might fetch $1 million or more if it went up for auction. In today's market, it's that rare and that desirable. So before you spend that nickel in your pocket, take a closer look. The 1978 no mint mark Jefferson nickel might be more than just spare change. It could be the hidden gem that turns your curiosity into a fortune. Have you ever found a rare coin in your change? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more amazing coin discoveries and money secrets hiding in plain sight. 1988 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark. Now I know what you're thinking. A nickel from 1988? How can that possibly be worth anything more than 5 cents? Well, buckle up, because this isn't just any nickel. There's a version of the 1988 Monticello Jefferson nickel that's missing the mint mark. It looks like an ordinary coin, but it's actually one of the rarest errors to come out of the late 20th century. And today, we're going to uncover how this happened, what makes this coin special, how to spot it, and just how much it's worth in today's market. First, let's go back a bit. In 1988, the United States Mint was producing Jefferson nickels in 2 major facilities: Philadelphia, and Denver. Coins made in Denver have a small d on the right side of Monticello, and coins from Philadelphia usually had AP mint mark after 1980. But here's the catch: some 1988 nickels came out with no mint mark at all. Not AP, not AD, just completely blank. That's a big deal, because by that year, mint marks were supposed to be there. So if a 1988 nickel has no mint mark, it means something went wrong at the mint. Now, how does that happen? Well, the most likely explanation is that a die meant for minting Philadelphia nickels was either accidentally missing the mint mark or used before the mint mark was added to it. That's what we call a mint error, and error coins can be incredibly valuable. So how do you know if your 1988 nickel is the rare one? First, check the front of the coin, also called the obverse. Look just to the right of Jefferson's portrait, above the date. If there's a tiny letter P or D, it's just a regular nickel. But if there's nothing there, and the rest of the coin looks crisp and original, then you might just have something special. Now let's talk money. How much is this thing worth? Over the years, collectors have paid hundreds, even thousands of dollars for high-grade examples of the 1988 no mint mark nickel. We're talking certified coins in mint state condition, graded MS65, MS66, even higher by agencies like PCGS or NGC. But here's where it gets wild. In the collector market, rarity plus condition equals serious money. There's only a tiny handful of verified 1988 no mint mark nickels in pristine condition. If someone found a flawless example, say MS67 or higher, it could spark a bidding war. Some experts believe the true value of a top-graded, fully authenticated 1988 no mint mark Jefferson nickel could hit six figures, maybe even climb toward $1 million if the right collector wanted it badly enough. That's not hype, that's history. Rare coin auctions have shocked us before, and they can do it again. Imagine finding a 5-cent coin in your spare change and realizing it could pay off your mortgage. That's the dream, right? Well, it's not impossible. These nickels are out there. A few have already been found, but many more could be sitting in drawers, jars, or old coin folders waiting to be discovered. So what should you do? Start looking. Check every 1988 nickel you come across. Use a magnifying glass, look carefully at the date, and see if that mint mark is missing. If you think you've got one, don't clean it, don't alter it, just keep it safe and take it to a professional coin grader or dealer. If it turns out to be the real deal, your little coin might just change your life. That's it for today's video, but let me know in the comments, have you ever checked your nickels for errors like this? And if you have a 1988 nickel, what's the mint mark on yours? 1999 D Monticello Jefferson nickel. Now before you empty your piggy bank or check your change jar, you'll want to hear this entire story because there's more to this 5-cent piece than meets the eye. So let's start with the basics. The 1999 Jefferson nickel was minted in two locations, Philadelphia and Denver. The ones made in Denver carry a small letter D just to the right of Thomas Jefferson's bust on the front of the coin. Millions of these nickels were produced. In fact, the Denver Mint alone struck over 1.7 billion of them. So how does a coin that's so common become potentially worth thousands or even $1 million? Well, it all comes down to rarity and condition errors and collector demand. Let's break it down. Most 1999 D nickels in circulation are only worth their face value. You'll find them in worn condition with scratches, dents, or dull surfaces. These are extremely common, but here's the twist: a very small number of 1999 D nickels were struck with exceptional quality, and in rare cases with minting errors that dramatically increased their value. Some collectors have reported finding coins with full steps on the Monticello building on the reverse side. Now, what does that mean? The steps leading up to Monticello are one of the hardest details for the mint to strike. Clearly, a nickel that shows 5 or 6 full steps without any interruptions is rare and highly prized. Finding a 1999 D with full steps in top condition, especially in a high mint state grade like MS66 or higher, is extremely unusual, and that's where the money comes in. Let me give you some real numbers. As of now, certified 1999 D Jefferson nickels and MS67 with full steps have sold at major auctions for hundreds, even thousands of dollars. In fact, in one notable case, a stunning 1999 D with incredible eye appeal and sharp detail sold for over $10,000. That's $10,000 for a nickel you could have overlooked in your spare change. But what about the $1 million rumors? Well, those reports are mostly fueled by clickbait headlines or speculative value listings that don't reflect the real market. No, 1999 D nickel has officially sold for $1 million. However, there are unconfirmed private sales and rare full-step varieties that some collectors estimate could be worth that if graded perfectly and sold at the right time to the right buyer. The $1 million value might not be mainstream yet, but if one of these coins were to surface in pristine condition with a dramatic mint error like an off-center strike or double die and got certified at MS68 or higher, we could be looking at a true record breaker. The market for modern Jefferson nickels is growing and collectors are paying more attention to high-grade examples and rare errors from the late 90s. So what should you do if you think you have a 1999 D Jefferson nickel that looks special? Step 1. Check the Monticello side for clear full steps. Step 2. Look at the overall condition under good light. No scratches, no wear, bright luster, and sharp detail. Step 3. If it looks promising, send it to a trusted grading service like PCGS or NGC for certification. A high-grade slabbed coin can multiply your return many times over, and if you're just starting out in coin collecting, keep checking your change. Sometimes the most valuable coins aren't the ones buried in safe deposit boxes, they're the ones hiding in plain sight, so keep your eyes open and don't underestimate that 5-cent piece. 2000p Jefferson nickel, the Monticello version, and why collectors are going absolutely crazy over it.so. Make sure you stick around until the end, because I'll be revealing how some versions of this very coin have sold for thousands of dollars, and even why certain error versions might be worth up to $1 million in the right auction setting. Let's get into it. Now first, let's talk about the basics. The 2000p Jefferson nickel was minted in Philadelphia. The mint mark, P, stands for the Philadelphia Mint. This coin features the classic portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, or front side, and the iconic Monticello building, Jefferson's Virginia home, on the reverse. Now, here's where things start to get interesting. Over 730 million of these nickels were produced. That's right, over 730 million. So, you might be thinking, how could a coin that's so common be worth more than face value? Well, it all comes down to something we talk about a lot on this channel: rarity, condition, and errors. Let's start with condition. If you happen to have a 2000p Jefferson nickel in mint state condition, we're talking MS67 or higher on the grading scale, you could be looking at a coin worth hundreds of dollars. In fact, coins graded by top grading companies like PCGS or NGC that reach MS68 or MS69 can be incredibly rare. Some of those have fetched over $1,000 at auction. But that's not even the most exciting part. The real value comes into play when you start looking at error coins. And the 2000p Jefferson nickel has a few error types that make it one of the most desirable modern nickels for collectors. Point one of the most famous is the off-center strike. If your 2000p nickel has a noticeable off-center strike where the design isn't properly aligned and part of the coin is blank, you could have a major winner. Depending on how severe the misalignment is, and whether the date and mint mark are still visible, values can range from a few hundred to several $1,000s. Then there's the double die error. This happens when the die that strikes the coin has a slight shift between impressions, causing a doubling of the design. You'll want to carefully inspect the lettering, especially around Monticello or the word Liberty on the obverse. If you see clear doubling, that coin could easily bring in hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Now here's the shocker. There are rumors, and even some verified examples, of experimental planchet errors where nickels were struck on the wrong metal composition, or even on blank foreign coins. These are ultra rare. If you ever find a 2000p nickel that seems too light, or looks like it has the color of a penny or a dime, get it tested. These types of mint errors are so unique and so scarce that if authenticated, they can sell for tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes even breaking the six-figure mark depending on collector demand. In fact, one ultra-rare 2000p Jefferson nickel with an extremely rare transitional error, meaning it was struck on the wrong metal during a year when the mint was changing compositions, was reportedly offered at auction with an estimated value close to $1 million. That's right, $1 million for a coin you might have passed by in your spare change jar. And here's what you should do right now. Go check your nickels. Seriously. Look through your change. Look through old coin jars. Ask your family if they have any saved nickels. Focus on the year 2000 with the P mint mark. And remember, condition matters, but so do errors. If you think you have something unusual, get it graded. A small investment in grading can mean the difference between a coin worth 5 cents and a coin worth 5 figures, or more. So to wrap it up, the 2000 P Jefferson nickel may seem common, but in the right condition or with the right error, it can be one of the most valuable modern nickels ever struck. Keep your eyes open, do your research, and don't underestimate the power of a little nickel with a big secret. 2007 D mint mark Monticello Jefferson nickel. It looks ordinary, but what if I told you that some of these coins have been sold or valued at thousands and even up to $1 million? That's right, one little nickel with a D mint mark for Denver could change your life. Let's break down exactly why this coin matters, what makes it valuable, and how you can check if you have one of the rare ones. So grab your change jar or your coin collection and let's take a closer look. Let's start with the basics. The 2007 Jefferson nickel features the classic Monticello design on the reverse with Thomas Jefferson's portrait on the obverse. The D mint mark means it was struck at the Denver Mint. Millions of these were made, so what makes some of them so valuable? It all comes down to rarity, condition, and errors. First up, let's talk about mint errors. Some 2007 D Jefferson nickels have been found with dramatic die clashes, double dies, off-center strikes, and even missing elements. These errors are rare, but when they show up, they can fetch huge premiums. For example, one coin with a significant double die on the obverse sold at auction for over $25,000. That's right, just because of a die variety. But there's one particular type of error that takes the cake. A 2007 D Jefferson nickel that was struck on a 1-cent planchet. It was smaller, lighter, and had the copper color of a penny. This error happened when a blank penny planchet got into the nickel striking press and got hit with the Jefferson design. One of these rare minting mistakes sold for nearly $50,000, and others have been discovered since. Now imagine this: a 2007 D Jefferson nickel struck on the wrong planchet with a major double die and in near perfect condition, graded by a top-tier grading service like PCGS or NGCA. Combination like that is not only rare, it's potentially one of a kind. That's how we get to the $1 million mark. Let's talk about coin grading for a moment. If you find a 2007 D nickel and it looks flawless, don't spend it. Take a good look at the luster. Any scratches or signs of wear? A coin in mint state condition, especially MS67 or above, is worth far more than one that's been circulated. Some collectors and dealers will pay thousands for a perfectly preserved coin with a rare variety, even if the error is small. Now here's where things get exciting. A recent discovery by a collector involved a 2007 D Jefferson nickel with a full steps reverse, meaning the steps of the Monticello building are fully visible and unbroken. This is incredibly rare because even a slight weakness in the strike usually distorts the steps. That coin graded at MS68 full steps, and it was so rare that experts believe it could be the only one in existence. The estimated auction value was over $100,000 and rising. Some estimates suggest that a future auction with enough demand and attention could push its value to over $1 million, especially if the market trends upward and more collectors enter the space. So what should you do if you find a 2007 D Jefferson nickel? Here's your quick checklist. 1. Check for obvious errors like off-center strikes, die clashes, or wrong planchets. 2. Look at the reverse. Do the steps on Monticello look complete? That could mean a full steps designation, which is extremely valuable. 3. Check the overall condition. Does it have mint luster, no scratches or dings, and sharp details? You might have a high-grade candidate. 4. Consider sending it to a grading service. It costs some money up front but could lead to huge returns. And finally, 5. Never clean your coins. Cleaning damages them and lowers their value dramatically. Before we wrap up, here's a quick reminder: the coin collecting world is full of surprises. Some coins that were once thought to be worthless have gone on to become 6- or 7-figure treasures. The key is to stay curious, stay informed, and take a second look at the coins you handle every day. That 2007 D Monticello Jefferson nickel in your change could be worth more than your car, your house, or even your retirement savings.